Happy Tuesday. Today's video is all about Zeemods and why I so enjoy and love those sound and engine packs. And welcome back to American Truck Simulator. This is your host David Steele. This is Red Thunder, my Kenworth W900. Today she is equipped with a Zeemods N14 with 500 rated horsepower and 1650 foot-pounds of torque. I'm taking this truck on two trips today. One with a Zeemods N14 engine and one with another N14 engine. Now, this video is not really a comparison of the two engines because they're different. One's open pipe, one's a standard exhaust, etc, etc, etc. But it's to just highlight one of the reasons why I enjoy the Zeemods product so much. Now, full disclaimer, I love these engine sounds so much that I reached out to Z 2021, I believe, and said, hey, can I help you with their torque curves? And so I've been producing torque curves for them. This particular engine has one of my torque curves, and that'll become more relevant as this video goes on. I think at the very start of this video I want to highlight a couple of things. Number one is I'm not going to get involved with the politics. There's a lot of people out there that love to have something or someone to get angry about and berate, and that's not really me, at least not in this circle. I want to enjoy my trucking and enjoy my engines. And whilst there are differences between the two engines, I love the fact that people can mod this game and pull in their own sounds and so on and so forth. I have a preference for the more realistic engine, and that's what works for me. Your mileage is going to vary, and how you drive the game and how you play the game is also going to vary. So it's not that I'm right and you're wrong. Usually it's the other way around. But to summarize, I'm not going to get involved with the politics of anything that may or may not be happening. This is purely about the trucks, guys and girls. Just about those trucks. Anyway, as you've seen, I have my own trailer today. It's a Rocky Mountain double, is it? I'm going to be hauling 67,000 pounds of, I think it's crude oil. And I've chosen this particular cargo because it's very repeatable. It's heavy. I mean, I could have chosen a smaller tanker, but nope. It is most definitely heavy. So what that means is I'm going to be putting this engine through its paces. So we're going to ride through. I really shouldn't be using my engine brake in the city. Oopsie. It's going to skip forward, and then I'll chop in some sequences of the other truck that I'm going to drive, and we'll talk about some of the differences between the two there. Alright, quick transition to the alternative Cummins N14, and here we're going to drive off. We've just picked up the cargo. Yes, you can see it's 461 pounds of crude oil. We have about a 600 mile trip today, or 500 mile trip today to make, so there's going to be plenty of chance. We're using the stock 13-speed transmission here, so you're going to see numbers geared numbered 1 to 13 and not 1 to 4 and then 5 low and high through to 8 low and high. So let's see how well it does. Well, I mean, it sounds fine. No real complaints here, right? It's going to hold on to these revs a little bit. This is a fairly, it's not a steep gradient, but it's a gradient. And even though we've got 500 horsepower under the hood, yeah, we've got a lot of weight behind us. We're about 112,000 pounds total gross vehicle weight today. We're going to feel it. Now, the transmission, I'm using it fully automated today. There'll be none of this manual shifting malarkey. And when I use the engine brake, I'm going to attempt to do the same. So, not going to force the thing to downshift. Definitely a bit of a turbo whistle there. So yeah, it's going through the gears one by one. Now, that's not a bad thing, but for realism, you might block shift and skip a gear. And it depends on the cargo and so on and so forth. And yeah, we'll see how well the Zeemods one does. But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad experience, right? So here's the Zeemods Cummins N14 experience. This is the 5-inch exhaust, stock exhaust. Started this section with it running, my bad. And we're going to move off and let's see what we hear. Well, okay, I mean, so far so good, right? So I'm expecting the transmission to struggle to shift at first. It's a bit of an ATS trait. It'll maybe block shift one too many gears, and then it'll go back to single shifting or double shifting. Yeah, it's got the windows down. Now I hear a distinctive whistle start as I give it a bit more power there. So it does sound a little different. It's a bit more refined, and that's interesting because I mean it's what Z does. He doesn't just sample an engine, he actually records it from multiple microphones. So I'm hearing that turbo spool up and spool down. Sounds good. Now maybe I'm being a little unfair because I do have the windows down, and that does increase the engine noise, and I do apologize for that, but this thing is just so immersive. Okay, here we are with the alternative Cummins N14 at a steady state cruise of 70 miles an hour. Well, steady speed I should say. We're going to be on and off the power a few times as we go up and down gradients. Let's just listen to this for a few seconds. Not an unpleasant sound. But let's do the obligatory drive-by test. I'm going to jump straight into the same with Zeemods then. Here's the drive-by. Okay. A little bit of a wheel cam action thing going on here. Now note the difference in sound between wheel camera facing forward and the wheel camera facing backwards. There's that little turbo whistle again. Yeah, it's kind of hard to compare the two. I like them both. I admit I like them both. I honestly expected to be like Zeemods is the best ever, but actually I enjoy them both. Maybe I need to chop and change the sound or something. Okay, you know, something I just realized or just remembered was these two engines are different exhaust systems. The alternative has an open pipe, and the Zeemods is a stock engine. Doesn't affect the turbo sound, but will affect the exhaust sound, or the sound you get when you look behind you or you're behind the truck. It's no surprise that Zeemods is a more refined sound, not from the actual truck sound, from the truck sound even. It's a blend of sounds, and I think possibly there's a bit more depth to there's a bit more nuance, a bit more depth to it. But they both sound good, at least from isolation, cruising along at 70 miles an hour. So, okay, that was an interesting experiment. Thanks for participating. Whilst editing this video, I was inspired. So I'm going to go back to maneuvering around with an empty trailer, so trailers because there are two. So I'm going to chop between the alternative Cummins and the Zeemods Cummins, and we'll experience what it's like to move between the two engines and how the engines perform at slower speeds, how they shift gears, and so on and so forth. Yeah, the alternative is definitely shifting each gear individually.
Turn right. Keep right.
And it's block shifting with Zeemods. That doesn't surprise me. I can't speak for the other engine, but I spent a lot of hours and game miles refining the automated shift points in the Zeemods N14. And yes, you know what? I'm biased because I built the engine curves, but to get the thing right, to get it be realistic, to watch a bunch of videos, I don't sadly drive a big rig or don't even feel qualified. But I've tried to match how the transmission behaves to how drivers tend to drive it. And I think maybe that's the difference. Maybe it's a more realistic experience. Maybe it's the way it pulls. Which leads me on to something else. I've modeled these torque curves to be fairly realistic. Not completely. They have a bit of a boost lower down, and that's mostly because the map is compressed. So hills are that much steeper. If you need to move off with a fairly realistic low-powered engine, you're really going to struggle in the game if you have a completely realistic torque curve. So I've boosted mine. Does make a difference. This alternative, well, if you look under the hood and you check the numbers, the 500 horsepower, 1750 foot-pounds, so it does have more torque than my Zeemods N14. Its power output is closer to 600. It's sort of the 575, 580 peak power. That makes a difference. The alternative is more powerful than it really should be. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, it depends how you play the game. If you want to get there in a hurry, you're going to appreciate having more power. The alternative engine sounds gruffer. It's coarser. It's not as refined. It's not as smooth sounding. And it's not a bad sound by any stretch. It's just it's not quite the same depth, that nuance, same quality. And I'm not an audio engineer, so I can't define that. Yeah, this thing is definitely quicker than the Zeemods version. So you want to get there in a hurry? You need the alternative. Ooh, hello kitty. Let's just go ahead and listen to the Zeemods engine from the wheel camera pointing forwards. Let's hear that induction and that little turbo chirrup. Light's going to go to green any second. Right, I'm going to be quiet. Oh, well, there you go. So to summarize this, why do I love Zeemods? You know, I thought this would be fairly clear cut, and I thought I wouldn't be saying it's the way I built the torque curves, because it's the nuances of the sound. It's you move around the truck, it sounds different. It's the changes when you change the behavior of how the truck's driving, the throttle, the brakes. It's the changes in the engine. And yes, I like the realism, but that's just a perception. So I love the nuances of the sound. I enjoy the sound changes depending where you are and all that fun stuff. Yes, Zeemods does have a cost. Some of them are free, but most of them are premium. I had bought every single ATS Zeemods engine pack available before I started writing torque curves. And the first engine that got released with one of my torque curves was the X15. So yeah, a lot of fun. I think that just about wraps up today's video. And yes, absolutely, this has turned into I love writing torque curves, and I enjoy the way that the game sounds. I hope that you've enjoyed this, a little bit of an alternative one. And you know, I should probably put you know what, if you don't like Zeemods, you want to rage on me, let's give you an email address that you can send your hate mail to.
It's got a fraggle, so GOTAFRAGGLE @gmail.com.